Hello, everyone. This is George Will. Two sealed depositions were released this morning, and what they contain has already caused absolute chaos behind palace walls. We're talking about testimony given under oath, contemporaneous text messages, and photographic evidence that directly contradicts everything we've been told about Meghan Markle's relationship with golf champion Rory McIlroy. What this reveals changes everything we thought we knew about the Sussex marriage, and more importantly, what Harry has been kept in the dark about for years. Before we go any further, I need you to subscribe right now because what you're about to hear is not being explained clearly anywhere else. The mainstream media won't touch this. They're terrified, but you deserve to know the truth. So hit that button and let's continue. Now, let me be absolutely clear from the outset. I'm not here to make wild accusations. I'm here to read what's in the official file. I'm here to present evidence that has been submitted in legal proceedings, testimony given under penalty of perjury, and documents that have been authenticated by multiple sources. This isn't gossip. This isn't speculation. This is documented fact, and it's been hidden from public view until today. The first document surfaced from a civil case filed in New York, completely unrelated to the royal family. It involved a business dispute between two entertainment executives. But buried in the discovery materials, attorneys found something extraordinary. Text messages, dozens of them between Meghan Markle and Rory McIlroy dating back to 2017. That's before the engagement to Harry was even announced. Let me read you one of these messages word for word because you need to hear exactly what was said. Quote, "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive in ways I forgot were possible. When can I see you again? Miami next week." Read that again. "You make me feel alive in ways I forgot were possible." This isn't friendly banter between acquaintances. This is intimate language. And this was sent in September 2017, just weeks before Meghan and Harry went public with their relationship. But it gets worse. The second document is a sworn affidavit from a hotel employee at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. This employee worked the night shift during a 3-day period in August 2017. In the affidavit filed as part of a separate employment discrimination case, this employee describes checking in a woman matching Meghan's exact description, accompanied by a man matching Rory McIlroy's exact description. They checked in under false names, corporate aliases, but the employee recognized them both immediately. The affidavit states, and I'm reading directly from it, the woman was Meghan Markle. I am certain of this because I had seen her on television multiple times. The man with her was Rory McIlroy. I recognized him because my brother is an avid golfer. They requested a suite on the top floor far from the elevator. They requested no housekeeping for the duration of their stay. They did not leave the room together during the entire 3 days. 3 days in a luxury suite under false names with explicit instructions for privacy. This employee had no reason to lie. This testimony was given under oath in a case that had nothing to do with royalty or celebrities. It was discovered purely by accident when attorneys were combing through witness statements. Now, here's the part no one expected: flight logs. We've obtained commercial and private flight records showing that Rory McIlroy flew from Dublin to Los Angeles on August 14, 2017. Meghan Markle's assistant's calendar, which was submitted as evidence in a completely separate civil matter involving a former employee, shows that Meghan was scheduled to be in Los Angeles during that exact same time frame. The assistant noted, unavailable August 14th through 17th. Personal time, do not disturb. Personal time, do not disturb for 3 days. The same 3 days Rory McIlroy was in Los Angeles. The same 3 days a hotel employee places them together in a suite. Think about that. This isn't circumstantial. This is a pattern, and the pattern becomes clearer the deeper you dig. Let me take you to another piece of evidence, photographic evidence. In March 2018, just months after Meghan and Harry's engagement was announced, a photography agency based in London was subpoenaed as part of a copyright dispute. The agency was forced to turn over its entire archive of unpublished photos, thousands upon thousands of images. In that archive, attorneys discovered 16 photographs taken at a private golf resort in Scotland. The photographs were taken in June 2017. They show Meghan Markle and Rory McIlroy together, not at a public event, not at a charity function, at a private resort, in casual clothing, walking together, sitting together. In one photograph, McIlroy's arm is around her waist. In another, they're sitting on a bench overlooking the course, and her head is resting on his shoulder. These photographs were never published. The agency claimed they decided not to release them because Meghan wasn't famous enough at the time to warrant coverage. But that doesn't explain why the agency held on to them. That doesn't explain why they were never sold, even after Meghan became one of the most famous women in the world. And it certainly doesn't explain why, according to internal agency emails that were also part of the discovery, a senior editor wrote, "Do not release the Scotland photos. We've been asked to keep them private. Payment received. Payment received. Someone paid to suppress those photographs. The emails don't say who made the payment. The name is redacted, but someone wanted those images buried, not once, not twice. 16 photographs, all suppressed, all paid for, all hidden." Now, let's talk about testimony, insider witnesses, people who were there, people who saw what was happening. One of those witnesses is a former staff member who worked for Meghan during her time on the television show she was filming in Toronto. This staff member gave a deposition in an unrelated employment lawsuit. And in that deposition, she was asked about Meghan's personal life, her schedule, her habits. The staff member testified that Meghan frequently traveled on weekends, sometimes to New York, sometimes to Los Angeles, but often to locations she wouldn't disclose. The staff member said, and I'm reading this verbatim, she would tell us she was going to see friends, but she wouldn't say who or where. She would leave on Friday and return on Monday. She was very secretive about these trips. She didn't want anyone to know where she was going. One time I saw a text on her phone while she was showing me something else. The text said, "Landing in Dublin in 2 hours." I didn't think much of it at the time, but later I realized she had told us she was in New York that weekend. Dublin, Rory McIlroy's home city. Meghan told her staff she was in New York, but a text message placed her in Dublin. Why lie about that? Why conceal a trip to Dublin if it was innocent? Here's another layer. We've obtained phone records not through illegal means, but through legal discovery in a case involving a telecommunications company. These records were submitted as evidence and then sealed by the court. But before they were sealed, copies were made. Those copies show call logs between two phone numbers, one registered to an assistant of Meghan Markle, one registered to a business manager for Rory McIlroy. Between April 2017 and November 2017, those two numbers were in contact over 300 times, 300 calls and text messages in 7 months between assistants. Why would Meghan Markle's assistant need to communicate with Rory McIlroy's business manager 300 times unless there was an ongoing relationship that required careful coordination? But it gets worse. Internal correspondence from McIlroy's management team was also part of a discovery process, this time in a contractual dispute with a former agent. In one email dated October 2017, a member of McIlroy's team wrote, "Rory needs the jet available on short notice this month. Usual discretion required. Same arrangements as before. Same destination protocols. Same arrangements as before. Same destination protocols." This is coded language. This is the language of secrecy. Why would a professional golfer need a private jet on short notice with discretion protocols unless he was traveling to see someone he didn't want the public to know about? And here's where the timeline becomes impossible to ignore. October 2017 is exactly when Meghan and Harry's relationship was becoming serious, exactly when they were preparing to announce their engagement, exactly when Meghan should have been focused entirely on her future with Harry. Instead, Rory McIlroy's team is arranging discreet flights and confidential travel. Now, I want you to think about Harry for a moment. Think about what he knew, or more importantly, what he didn't know, because there's evidence, real documented evidence, that Harry was kept completely in the dark. A former friend of Harry's gave an interview to a private investigator hired by a tabloid newspaper. That interview was recorded. The recording was later submitted as evidence in a defamation case. In that recording, the friend says Harry was obsessed with her, completely smitten. He talked about her constantly. But some of us had concerns. We heard rumors. We heard she had been seeing someone else, someone famous, right up until she got serious with Harry. But no one wanted to tell him. No one wanted to be the one to break his heart. And honestly, we weren't sure if the rumors were true. It was all whispers, nothing concrete, whispers, rumors. But now we know those whispers were based on truth. Those rumors were accurate, and Harry never knew. His own friends stayed silent, and Meghan certainly never told him. Let me read another piece of evidence. This one is from a deposition given by a former security consultant who worked for McIlroy during the 2017 season. The consultant testified, "My job was to ensure Mr. McIlroy's privacy during personal travel. I arranged secure transportation and vetted accommodations. In the summer and fall of 2017, I was asked to make arrangements for private meetings. I was told these meetings were extremely confidential. I was given photos of a woman and told to ensure she could enter and exit properties without being seen. That woman was Meghan Markle." Under oath, a security professional testifying that he was hired to facilitate secret meetings between Rory McIlroy and Meghan Markle. He didn't speculate, he didn't guess. He stated it as fact because it was his job to make it happen, not once, not twice, repeatedly. Here's the part that should concern everyone. These documents, these testimonies, these photographs, they weren't discovered through some grand investigation into Meghan or Rory. They were discovered by accident. They surfaced in unrelated legal cases. They were buried in discovery materials that had nothing to do with the royal family, which means this is likely just a fraction of what's out there. If this much evidence can surface accidentally, imagine what exists that hasn't been found yet. Now, let's talk about Rory McIlroy's marriage because this timeline matters. Rory married Erica Stoll in April 2017, just 4 months before the hotel incident, just 2 months before the Scotland photographs. Rory was a newlywed when all of this was happening. And then years later in 2024, Rory filed for divorce. The divorce filing cited irreconcilable differences, standard language, but here's what isn't standard. According to court documents filed in Florida, where the divorce was processed, Erica's attorneys requested sealed testimony regarding her husband's, quote, extramarital associations prior to and during the marriage. That request was granted. The testimony was sealed. We don't know what was said, but we know it was serious enough to require a seal. We know it involved extramarital associations, and we know the timeline overlaps perfectly with Meghan Markle. Think about that. Erica Stoll's attorneys wanted testimony about extramarital relationships during a period when all of this evidence places Rory with Meghan. That's not a coincidence. Here's another document, an internal report from a public relations firm that represented McIlroy. The report was submitted in a lawsuit involving unpaid fees. In the report dated December 2017, a PR executive wrote, "Client requests crisis management protocols in case of exposure regarding personal matters from summer-fall period. Recommend prepared statements and media blackout strategies. Situation involves high-profile individual outside sports world. Advise extreme caution. Crisis management protocols, prepared statements, media blackout strategies. For what? For exposure of what personal matters? And why would a golfer need crisis management involving a high-profile individual outside the sports world unless that individual was Meghan Markle? She's not a golfer. She's not in sports. She was an actress about to marry a prince. That's who this is about." Let me shift now from evidence to meaning, because this isn't just about affairs or secrets or lies. This is about a pattern of behavior that raises fundamental questions about trust, honesty, and the foundation of the Sussex marriage. If Meghan was involved with Rory McIlroy during the exact period when she was beginning her relationship with Harry, what does that say about her intentions? Was Harry ever the priority, or was he the safe choice, the royal choice, the choice that offered something Rory couldn't, a title, a platform, global fame? If this evidence is accurate, and I believe it is because it comes from sworn testimony and legal documents, then Harry was deceived from the very beginning. He was sold a fairy tale while the truth was being carefully hidden, and the people around Meghan, the assistants, the managers, the PR firms, they all knew. They all participated, they arranged the meetings, they suppressed the photos, they paid for silence. This isn't about one document, it's about behavior. It's about a pattern of secrecy and deception that started before the royal engagement and has continued ever since. If Meghan could hide this, what else has she hidden? If she could lie to Harry about something this significant, what other lies have been told? And think about Rory, a married man, a public figure, a champion golfer with sponsorships and endorsements. He had everything to lose if this became public, and yet he took the risk. Why? Because the relationship mattered, because it was real, because it was intimate. You don't arrange secret flights and private hotels and suppress photographs for a casual friendship. You have to ask why. Why go to such extraordinary lengths to hide a relationship if it was innocent? Why pay to suppress photographs? Why use false names at hotels? Why coordinate through assistants with coded language? Innocent relationships don't require that level of secrecy. And you have to ask what Harry knows now. Has he seen this evidence? Have his attorneys briefed him? Or is he still in the dark, still believing the version of events Meghan has told him? Because if he doesn't know, he deserves to. And if he does know, then we have to ask why he stayed silent. Is it pride? Is it fear of humiliation? Or is it something else? Here's what we know for certain. Meghan Markle and Rory McIlroy were in contact during 2017. They traveled together. They stayed in hotels together. They were photographed together in intimate settings. They took extraordinary measures to keep their relationship private. And all of this happened while Meghan was building her relationship with Harry, while Rory was newly married, and while the world was being told a completely different story. This isn't speculation. This isn't rumor. This is documented facts supported by testimony, by photographs, by text messages, by emails, by flight records, by phone logs. It's all there, and it's been hidden until now. What happens next is up to Harry. He can continue to ignore the evidence. He can continue to accept the narrative he's been given, or he can demand the truth. He can ask the hard questions. He can confront the people who've lied to him because, make no mistake, lies were told, secrets were kept. And Harry was the one person who deserved to know the truth, but was deliberately kept in the dark. The palace won't comment on this. Meghan's representatives won't respond. Rory's team will issue a denial. That's what always happens. Deny, deflect, discredit. But the documents don't lie. The testimony doesn't lie. The photographs don't lie. This is real. This happened, and it matters. Because if the foundation of the Sussex marriage is built on deception, then everything that's happened since, all the drama, all the accusations, all the public battles, they all have to be re-examined. Were they really the victims they claimed to be, or were they running from a truth they didn't want exposed? I'll leave you with this. Tens of thousands of documents are sealed in various courts around the world. Photographs, testimonies, emails, records, all hidden from public view. Some of those documents involve Meghan Markle, some involve Rory McIlroy, and some involve both of them together. What I've shared with you today is only what has accidentally surfaced through unrelated legal cases. Imagine what's still buried. Imagine what's still sealed. Imagine what might come out next. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share this, and stay alert. Don't let anyone tell you this doesn't matter, because it does. The truth always matters. And the truth about Meghan Markle and Rory McIlroy has been hidden from Prince Harry for far too long. It's time he knew, it's time we all knew, and it's time for accountability.